Okay. Formal introductions, guys. Welcome. This is Rising Empires Week number 28. I'm going to pause it for just a second just to get the stuttering out. In
Oh
the
boy.
match point for both of these players, this is a 1-1 tie spawning in the east, playing as the color orange, playing as the Mongols. It is coRe spawning on the western side of the river. Is Numudan also playing as Mongols in the color cyan. Right now we're seeing a villager from Numudan going out there.
Are both of these guys are insane? Why are they making dogs? Okay.
Numudan's got a dock. coRe's got a dock. At least they pick different pawns. If they
Yeah.
pick the same pawn, that would be quite the issue. Now, I do want to say for Dry River, for everybody who's watching, just because these ponds are very small, you can't go around and delete other people's fish. That's actually an infraction. So you could be cheeky, but not, not exploitive.
Yeah. So this is interesting spawn. Interesting start. First of all, both of them had like terrible spawns. Both of their spawns are absolutely garbage for Mongols. Like your stone is far away, your gold is far away, your TC is only covering your wood. Of course, slightly better because you cover berries, but you're never going to get those berries, at least not for a very long time. So terrible, terrible spawn for both of them. And then both decided to go for dog. When I really truly believe you should go barracks. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and they will show me why it's not a good idea to open barracks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have been nice if one player scouted the dock and the other player before they put the dock down, because then they would have barracks behind it. Then we would have saw actual game plan that the Mongols usually go for. But with both of them on a dock, like, what's kind of your initial reaction now that you're seeing two docks out?
Okay, so at this point, the spearmen will be producing, pretty sure. Yeah, I think at this timing the spearmen will be producing, so you'll be on your way to start torching. So that's why I'm kind of confused about this start. We see coRe deviating into the Uvu slightly faster than Numudan. I don't know what's happening there.
But you're my guy. You're supposed to, you're the one who's supposed to know what's going on and to make me look smarter than I actually am. But Neri's coming up with nothing, so I'm coming up with nothing. And it looks like with Numudan, he's going to keep going with these fishing boats. I mean, I usually see on Dry River maybe somewhere around 4 fishing boats.
Usually you want like one per fish, maybe one extra. It's fine. It's the same like in Ancient Spires, like just put one on each or 2 on each and just get like 6 fishing boats. And they last for quite a long time. They give you a quite nice extra boost. But I don't know what they're doing. Okay, now we're starting to see barracks. Both of them are. Okay, coRe is slightly faster with the barracks and he is not double producing his first batch. Just single spearman. The second one is double produced. Numudan, on the other hand, his barrack is quite delayed in comparison, but he should be able to double produce the first one. But he's going to be behind on the spearman count.
Yeah, and he will continue to be for probably the most of the duration of Dark Age right now, unless he's able to double produce a little bit better than coRe is. But that first double production does come out. It is right next to that dock. First spearman already taking a torch, getting pissed off at it, and dock only down just about 50 health, and we'll get down maybe about a couple hundred before Numudan spearmen have something to say about it. But right now, I mean, when we're talking about Dark Age and we're talking about spearman count, just looking at simple math, it's 4-2 coRe. That means Numudan's in trouble. And it's all about not only the amount of spearmen that you have, but your ability to micro with them.
Now, Numudan does have the superior economy because he has 2 extra fishing boats. 2 extra fishing boats than coRe. So, in the long run, this is going to favor Numudan because he will be able to age up before coRe and have more military. Like, we can see coRe is starting to slow down. Like, here comes his last double produced batch. He's gonna start saving up for feudal, while Numudan can just comfortably keep producing, and at any point he can just stops and go to feudal. Yep, coRe knows he can't take this fight anymore. He has the numerical disadvantage, and he's going to. Oh, now the reinforcements come, and this is Mongol versus Mongols in a nutshell. Like, spearmen versus spearmen for a while. Numudan is still adding spearmen. Once he sees course stop going aggro, he should go aggro on him.
Yeah, I mean, that little bit of... It's almost like both of them are staring at each other, waiting for one of them to lose the staring contest in terms of how many spearmen they end up making. coRe is continuing to produce, but does have the food to go up, just not necessarily the gold. The issue is this gold is pretty far out there for coRe. If Numudan actually does a good job of taking map control and microing his pointy boys a little bit better than coRe can, he might be able to deny some feudal age action.
Careful with the can. If the can goes down, that's really, really bad. That's something... The can, even though he only does... Oh no. Even though he only does 2 damage per hit, it's 2 safe damage because he can poke them out. Like now, Numudan absolutely has to retreat because the can will eventually kill all the spearmen, even though it will take him a long time. He can kill them eventually. So Numudan needs to commit to going to feudal faster than coRe and try to win through technology over military might at the start now.
Yeah, I mean, that con going down for Numudan, necessary GG in chat from Macrotractor, and I appreciate it. But Deerstones, 8 villagers on Deerstones for Numudan. coRe, not quite there yet. Maybe a little bit of a macro thing for him. He does have a decent amount of wood, does have a decent amount of food, just doesn't have the gold to get there. We'll see how quickly Numudan can actually factor this feudal age progression into an actual impact. We'll see how quickly he's able to get that spearman upgrade to hardened spearman. He hits it almost immediately. It's going to come in about 10 seconds, and now more of a quality over quantity situation that I've said multiple times throughout this cast during War Chief Club. coRe on the other side, on the eastern side, going up with the Deerstones of his own. However, if he does take this battle with hardened spearmen against Dark Age spearmen, these spearmen don't poke like the other spearmen, so bad fight to take.
Yeah, he absolutely needs to retreat and age up as fast as he can and get his own hardened spearmen, because this is a losing battle. Even though coRe has slightly more spearmen, the extra damage, it really does make a lot of difference, and the extra health. It's the extra health and 1 extra damage, and yeah, coRe has to completely give up his gold position, and this is a massive, massive win for Numudan.
And I mean, what does this mean for Numudan? He can extend a little bit more on to this river. Second dock already there with a couple fishing boats. coRe has his second dock and adding a 3rd fishing boat of his own. He knows that he's late to feudal age, so he knows that the spearmen will be able to take down the dock. His next thing in queue after this fishing boat is a demo ship, so he might be able to get a cheeky hit on some of these guys.
Yep. On the other side, Numudan failed to make a fighting ship on his little pond, but he does have a couple of archers and a spearman there to defend. So now Numudan, be careful, only keeping a couple of spearmen torching down the dock because he knows that this could happen. Yep. And that ends up happening, but on the other side we see Numudan about to lose his dock. There are just not enough archers here to deal with them. So this is going to be a little bit painful. He's going to have to make to remake that. So 150 wood that's going to have to go towards this instead of military. The can might survive. The can is going down.
Oof.
Now Numudan has the advantage in that regard. If he ever chooses to move his can, that's just sitting there under the TC. There we go.
Yeah, I think once he... I feel like once he killed the con, he realized, oh, yeah, my con actually comes back. So he's able to pull that one back. Military composition out of both players. A little bit of archers, a little bit of spearmen out of each. And actually, with coRe, that demo ship, pretty good in order to take down those 5 or 6 spearmen. I think it was able to give him a little bit more numbers in that battle and actually able to take down the dock from Numudan, because you're right, that's 150 wood. Man, he would love to use that in a different place. And we're continuing these little bit of skirmishes over here amidst the dry river, kind of between both of the water holes here. But take a look at the resources of what's going on here. Numudan 1,000, food almost 1,100, and almost 600 gold. coRe a little bit lagging behind. I think Numudan's going to hit castle first.
Yeah, Numudan is absolutely going to hit castle first. He's completely safe to do so, and he's adding the double stable. So he's gonna go castle and instantly produce lancers, and then he's gonna rain a lot of pain down onto coRe. coRe forced to move onto the deer because I really don't know why. He still has quite a bit of fishing. Well, his top pawn is almost exhausted now that I look at it. And he can't really grab a third pawn, while Numudan absolutely can grab the one on the south. Now we see some archers starting to pick down those fishing ships. Numudan, I don't know what his place is going to be. I really think he should just have like an archer ship or a Springer ship here. It would have been so much better. But it's okay. He is almost castled with 12 villagers on that step readout. And then we're going to start seeing double produce lancers. He is going to have to collect some gold for a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad.
Yeah, one of the things I actually see a lot of lower elo players do this when I cast low elo legends is they spend all their gold villagers trying to get step readout, and then they can't instantly produce those castle age units. I'm seeing Numudan fall into that similar trap, and I think coRe is actually going to do the same thing with the step readout over here on the east side, so he will be starting to build that. But Numudan does have a couple knights in queue, does have an archer in queue as well, and as long as he's able to hold off, make sure his villagers aren't getting raided, which on the Mongolian side of things, you know, getting raided is quite the difficult task, except for these gold places, these areas where the step readout is. As long as they don't end up getting raided, he'll be able to produce rather quickly and going to get his first lancers on to the battlefield. Now, if you're coRe, if you're the second one to step readout, instead of just lancers, are you changing your plan? Are you going more into like crossbowmen for defense, or are you going to lancer also?
You cannot go lancer. You can, but you can't just fight with lancers or try to overcommit to them, because the lancers are going to be on your side first. So getting a couple of lancers is fine to maybe raid or catch the enemy lancers, but you can't overcommit because your opponent is going to have more lancers than you, because they got there first. Simple as that. Now we see the Sprinkle Tower now in place. It's gonna help a little bit, but those are way too many villagers for just one tower, and a couple of villagers are gonna end up going down. 2-3.
Yeah, it looks like
3 or 4.
a decent amount end up going down. That Springled Tower, just the fact that it does have the Springled in place on it, does such good damage against some of those Lancers, because coRe was at the Lancer disadvantage in his home Mongolian province, but because of that Springled Tower, it gets one Lancer going down. coRe only loses one, and that second one going down for Numudan. Military count now 12 to 11 only in favor of Numudan by just a little bit.
Yep, but Numudan managed to snatch the neutral relic right on the middle of the map, so now he is going to have the relic advantage on the short term. Because again, he's faster to castle, so he got the first monk out, shaman, whatever. So now he is going to slowly get ahead on the gold department. He's doing pretty good on that regard. The first monk is about to drop down the relic. I'm assuming he's gonna move the second one, move for the second one soon after. Now we see some lancers from coRe onto the map, but again, he can't really send them across the map without exposing himself, because now we see that this is going to happen, like 4 lancers again raiding his gold. He needs this lancer back at home.
Yeah, those lancers are nowhere to be found here. The only thing we have are some feudal age archers, maybe one lancer of his own, but more workers go down. A rather disadvantageous gold spawn. We talked about it in Dark Age, but Mongols are one of those civilizations that the map spawn really tilts how you're going to play the game. And because of that, coRe losing a lot of villagers over here on this front gold spawn that he doesn't really have any control over.
coRe did manage to pick off the shaman that grabbed the relic, But because of that, Numudan saw that the Lancers were into his goals, so he managed to pull the villagers back out and defend with Lancers and crossbows of his own. Numudan really needs to start producing more champions to grab the relics. In the meantime, just coRe is forced to chill back home because he knows there are Lancers roaming around and he needs to be able to be prepared to defend.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think for both of these players, it's just about expenditure of your resources. I see this happen with Mongols a lot, where you only have a couple production buildings because, well, I could 2x produce out of them. But a lot of these guys floating a decent amount of resources. I'm seeing we got
More
a lot of
villagers going down.
A lot of Lancers stuck in queue. A couple more workers going down. Good catch, Neri. A couple workers going down over here on the south side on this berry bush. And now we're getting to the point of the game. It's about 15 minutes, 16th minute going to be coming up. The ponds are going to start to lose all of their fish, so food economy has got to be gathered in a different place. And more workers are going down for coRe, which means as far as food workers, probably not going to have as many.
Yep. Numudan doing an excellent job capitalizing on that extra food that he got from the fishing ponds, managing to get a second town center, and now he's slowly starting to add on pastures. So he is very, very ahead in economy right now. He is so many workers ahead. And discounting the fishing ships, let me see, he has 8 and coRe has 4. So Numudan is ahead like 6, 7 villagers or so. Something around there. So yeah, he's very, very far away. coRe does have a bigger army because he didn't expand on a second town center, but Numudan will be able to catch that rather quickly if he keeps his economy rolling. Now we see an engagement, a lot of Lancers catching these crossbows and a couple of extra Lancers in the middle of the map, so that's going to be unfortunate for Numudan. coRe only has archers on his side, so this is not going to be such a great fight for him, but it's enough now. Numudan turning on to coRe, and with that many crossbows, coRe needs to retreat.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to try to stick around in this battle, though. It does have the military lead, 29-22, but it's going to evaporate pretty significantly. All of those archers not having anything in terms of armor upgrades, but does have a +1 damage. Numudan adding in, just with crossbowmen, I mean, all he really needs is a couple Lancers just to make sure that his crossbowmen stay alive, but the Lancer count is what he's really devoid of. It looks like there's only 2 Lancers out here for Numudan. Crossbowmen got to back up a little bit more to the western side, and we talked about that second town center from Numudan, but it's all about making sure those villagers that you make out of it stay alive. And if you're not able to do that, if you're letting Lancers run all over your home territory, especially all over production, you're never going to be able to muster up a kind of defense. Now, with coRe, we have Castle Age Lancers without any kind of ranged armor upgrade, excuse me. Condead, GG in chat from Numudan, but Lancers running in without any kind of ranged armor upgrade, so they will be taking some good hits out of this town center. It's all about making sure that we're going to get a lot of idle time out of Numudan, and look at it right now. He has 69 villagers, nice, but there are about 40 that were idle at one point in time.
Yeah, but this is diving into TCs with archers. The archers are gonna die like really, really fast. Like the last couple of Lancers are about to go down to the crossbows. No, he doesn't have any crossbows left. So Numudan is actually in a bit of trouble now, as I think about it. That monk should have been using Mololo, but he doesn't manage to. Still, Numudan not quite producing. He has a lot of Lancers about to pop out, and once those do, he should be able to stabilize, and after he stabilizes, he will be able to start going, getting ahead from coRe once again. Okay, here comes Lancers, and now the Lancers are cleaning up the archers, and then they can move on to the Lancers. And this is going to be fine for Numudan. He lost a lot of economy. He is back on the same amount as coRe, but again, he just needs to stabilize. And he is going to be fine because he's on 2 TC and coRe just added his second one.
Yeah, but that's the thing with coRe adding the second one and having the presence of mind to do that. I think he did it at just about perfect timing because now coRe has an economic lead where Numudan had that lead for quite some time, and now we had a lot of idle time going on for Numudan. These were a lot of villagers that couldn't produce. I see one of the big issues that a lot of Mongolian players have is they have so many villagers with these pastures harvesting sheep. There's not that much in the way of outposts around it, and you saw a lot of villagers just kind of running around in circles trying not to die. And instead they're adding a bunch of pastures also to help them in that sheep count. And you're right, Neri, he did stabilize, but because of the economy that he's at right now, do you think coRe can just overwhelm him at this point?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You usually say absolutely when I say things, so I'm a little thrown off.
So this is the thing. coRe ran out completely out of food. All his fish ran out. He was on berries. Those berries just ran out. He's moving to another patch of berries. Again, berries are not great fruit gather. And after that, he's just like completely out. He has 0 pastures, while Numudan has all his pastures already set up. He's just chilling right now. He's full boom mode because he has everything set up to continue, and he has more relics than coRe. coRe only has 1 relic bank. He has access to another one, but he's not moving to get it. So in that regard, coRe is in a lot of troubles. Sure, economy count looks a lot better for coRe right now, but Numudan is better set up right now. Also, now, something that is going in favor of coRe is he does have better economic upgrades. Numudan has been slacking on that. If he had economic upgrades, he will be in a much better position. Now, a raid coming through, and again, because coRe ran out of food, he doesn't really have an army to be able to contest whatever raid Numudan is about to throw at him, and his army composition is actually pretty bad. It's like 16 archers. 16 archers are not great at this point of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the total what's going on with his army, 17 archers, 3 crossbowmen, 8 knights. So, I mean, yeah, in terms of military count, it is a little bit higher, but those archers aren't going to be touching anything that those Mongolian lancers out of Numudan is going to be able to combat. Continuously getting raided is such a huge issue. The fact that now he's starting to get pastures, we did see 2. Once we panned over just a little bit, another 5 popped out in their place. It's like a gray hair. When you pluck one out, another 5 come out. So now that he is able to stabilize, maybe he can get some of his food economy underway. But it makes me think, Neri, do you think it might be a little too late?
Yeah, this is a little bit too late. Numudan managed to snatch the 4th relic, so coRe is only on 1, and Numudan is on 4. And Mongols, they love their gold units. Like, the Mongols is a civilization that's a lot about quality over quantity. Like, the more gold units that you can get, the better they are. Your economic upgrades are better if you can get the improved versions. Truly, Mongols is the ultimate, like, quality type of army.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think for these players, I know blacksmiths are available for both of these players, and I do see, let's see, I want to see if improved siege engineering was made by both players, but I don't necessarily see it out of both.
No, neither of them did. Numudan didn't, I'm pretty sure coRe didn't either. Yeah, they just haven't had the time to set up siege on the field, and you don't really need it against Mongols. You only need mangonels, and you can just throw down a siege workshop if you really, really need it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's not like most civs that have a big ranged mass. A lot of Mongols, I mean, they obviously love their lancers and they love their horse units, and we're seeing that throughout this game. And usually, when Mongols are playing a different civ, they usually have a, they have an impassable object in terms of their military that they're able to just kind of steamroll you with, just because of the mobility needed for their opponents playing Mongols. It's been mostly lancers, it's been mostly mobile, and we're not seeing a lot of, I agree with you, we're not seeing a lot of siege as a result. But now, we might see a battle take place here. Numudan bringing out pretty much his entire army up against coRe's army to the south of this wood line. Crossbowman going to be able to take out a worker. Archers trying to get a little bit of micro, maybe trying to take down, instead of these lancers, it might be a good idea to take down some of these crossbowmen. We did have the ranged, or the armor for the Khan coming out for Numudan, that arrow coming up. Numudan does have to back up just a little bit. There are just maybe one too many lancers. Crossbowman able to kite, take down a decent amount of them. coRe's got a light junk all the way in the back, lightly spritzing these units with some arrow fire. But now that there's about 4 or 5 lancers left for coRe, the amount of crossbowmen that he has might not necessarily be enough for them to take them out. Now coRe's got to do his own kiting with the archer mass. Looks like relatively even out of both players after that fight.
Yeah, again, that was a showcase of quality army versus quantity army. Like, Numudan had a much better quality army, and it showed in that he took care of most of what coRe has. Like, coRe only has archers left over. He just needs like a couple of lancers to tank a couple of volleys and then just kill everything. Well, he just needs to chill a little bit. Stop your aggro, just chill. And something that I really want to see from both of these players, neither of them are adding outposts across the map. Like, you're Mongols, you need to have outposts across the map so you can move faster and you can gain vision. Otherwise, you're gonna get very exposed to raids. Like, we're seeing coRe just sending 3 lancers to the gold, probably. And that's gonna be an issue for Numudan very, very shortly.
Oh yeah, and especially because, I mean, for the Mongolian players, you know step readout is mobile, you know you're going to be going to all these gold veins to get all of these gold units. No outposts out of these guys, and Numudan's going to pay for it. He's going to lose about 2 or 3 villagers because of that. No textiles for either player. Numudan actually adding some horsemen in as well to try to combat some of these archers. We got about 3 lancers with +2 ranged armor, so Town Center is not going to help as much. Trying to take shots at a lot of these villagers and at least idle out this food economy for a little bit. Economic count right now, 92 to 77 in favor of coRe, and there's a reason for that. coRe added a 3rd town center.
Yeah, coRe added a 3rd town center quite a while back, just before he got attacked. So he's been slowly moving up the economy count, but again, at this point, like, as Mongols, you really don't need that many workers. Once you get to the 100, it's fine because your food economy is so efficient, your gold economy is also very, very efficient. You don't need to mine stone because Ubu. So it's really about the wood as your main economic concern. And you don't need that many workers in the end. As such, we're seeing pretty even armies, but Numudan does have a mangonel. Those mangonels get invaded by that light junk, giving coRe enough time to make a couple of springles. So Numudan is going to have a little bit of a trouble now to use those mangonels that he invested so much into.
Yep, and those springles going to be able to be made just in time, and it's going to make a Numudan need to back up this range mass. As long as those springolds are alive, this range mass is going to be safe, at least for the time being. Got to make sure those springolds don't get too close. I know they're really excited, but you can't start taking down a lot of these units. Springold Tower from coRe over on the southwestern side of this battle, providing a little bit of benefit. Veteran Horsemen from coRe trying to help against some of those crossbowmen. There are the entire front line for Numudan essentially disintegrated because of those archers and crossbowmen. We do see 2 mangonel shots on explosive junk, not really going to do too much. This range mass continuing to kite Numudan backward, and it's just because of those 2 springles. There's a reason why this happened. They did get a little bit of rocks off. They did get their rocks off, but not
they didn't hit
too
anything.
much. Yeah, to no explosion, sadly. And those springles are going to be able to keep pushing those crossbowmen back. Military count 47 to 29 in favor of coRe. And coRe, look at how many resources per minute he has. He's at about 2,400 food a minute, almost 2,000 gold per minute. He can continuously make this army over and over again if he ends up losing it. But I think if he does take this battle, this is going to be a pretty good battle for him. He's got a lot of crossbowmen, not a lot of armored units. coRe making the switch into horsemen, which has been the benefit for him in most of these battles. These archers and crossbowmen going to be able to do a good job against Numudan's horsemen, surprisingly, and not going to be able to get any kind of encirclement. But now with coRe having mostly archers and crossbowmen, those horsemen going to go down pretty... Now they end up going down, and these crossbowmen are going to end up getting mopped up unless we see any kind of reinforcements coming in from Numudan, but I'm not seeing many queued, Neri.
Yeah, not many being queued. Numudan is struggling to get some food. Not enough pastures, sadly, or the sheep at least not spread enough for the villagers to make use of them. And because of that, he is struggling to produce units, even though he has pretty good gold income thanks to the relics and the step readout. He's even banking a good chunk. It's just food is being his main concern right now. Economic upgrades really showing, like, making a big difference. coRe with the extra food and wood upgrade is now starting to push Numudan back into his disease once again. So yeah, Numudan is in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of idling on those villagers. 76 total villagers, 32 idle. Not that many crossbowmen in the back, only about 10. coRe's economy essentially untouched. And because of that, he did take the loss in Game 2, losing that water fight in Baltic against Numudan, but Game 3 in the Mongol Mirror on one of the driest of rivers out there. coRe taking that win in that pivotal match point. 2-1 to coRe. coRe's going on to the grand finals, and now Numudan will have to face Anatand in a best-of-1 grudge match to decide who is our second finals contestant.